Hi, this is Josh Marshall from TPM Media. It's Tuesday, January 15th, 2008. Now, you heard a lot about the Iowa caucuses and the New Hampshire primary, but there's another race coming up tonight that you probably haven't heard nearly as much about, but it could end up having a really big role on who ends up being the Republican nominee. Tonight is the Michigan primary. Now, technically, there's also a primary on the Democratic side too, but there is a dispute about when the date of the primary would be, so the Democratic primary is basically not being contested. So the big thing is the Republican primary tonight in Michigan, and it's really a fight between John McCain and Mitt Romney. Now, you know from previous episodes that the pattern in the Republican nomination race this year has been that successively each GOP frontrunner has crashed and burned and fallen into complete oblivion, and only to be succeeded by some new frontrunner who then crashed and burned and fell into complete oblivion. So that left Mitt Romney as the least worst of the Republican candidates. But then he got completely humiliated in Iowa, where he came in second, or as he calls it, he got the silver medal.
Well, we won the silver.
And then the same thing happened to him in New Hampshire, which is just next door to his home state of Massachusetts.
Another silver. And it's, I'd rather have a gold, but I got another silver.
Now, Mitt's complete and utter humiliation has had the improbable effect of taking the original Republican frontrunner, John McCain, and vaulting him back into the lead. If you look at primaries and caucuses around the country, the polls have him either even now or ahead in most cases, and nationally, he's actually back on top. So what has our man Mitt Romney decided to do as the counterattack? Well, here's what he's come up with. It turns out that Michigan is Romney's home state. Now, a few minutes ago I said that Massachusetts was Romney's home state. Well, Massachusetts is where he lives now and where he was governor, but Romney was actually born in Michigan, and his dad, and this is pretty much the only reason that Romney's even in politics, because his dad was in politics. His dad was governor of Michigan back in the 1960s. So what Romney has done, he's taken his ads out of South Carolina, out of Florida, and he's piling all of his resources into Michigan for one final mano-a-mano showdown with John McCain. So it's really do or die for Mitt Romney, and there's another reason why this is a really high-stakes gamble for him. If you remember back in New Hampshire, one of the ways that John McCain won the New Hampshire primary was because independents are allowed to vote in either the Democratic or the Republican primary. Now, the same thing is the case in Michigan, and there's another twist. That is, as I told you before, there's really not a contested Democratic primary. So independents and even Democrats are allowed to vote in the Republican primary. Now, as you know, John McCain always does really well with crossover voters, Democrats and independents. So Mitt Romney actually could win tonight's primary in Michigan among registered Republicans, but still lose because so many independents and Democrats come over and vote in the Republican primary for John McCain. So what do the polls say? Unlike in New Hampshire, the polls aren't really giving us any clear idea of what's going to happen. John McCain has caught up a lot since New Hampshire, but the latest polls basically have it neck and neck. A few Romney's ahead, a few McCain is ahead. A lot of it's probably going to come down to how many independents cross over and vote in that Republican primary. So if you're interested in finding out what happens, we'll be counting down the results live here at TalkingPointsMemo.com tonight, and you can find out whether the Mitt-mentum is resurgent or whether Mitt Romney is going to fade into final political oblivion. I'm Josh Marshall from TPM Media, and we'll see you here tonight.